Okay, well, thanks everyone. Thanks to panelists. I'll just do a quick round the table. If we can just do a quick intro, guys. Simon, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, I'm Simon Tutton. Work for Deepbridge Capital. We're an early stage and Series A technology investor. I look to be muted.
No, you're good.
Okay, fine. We invest into tech companies and life science companies. We've, I think to date, have done 5 in the South West. We're regionally based. We invest in a lot of companies in the regions, i.e. outside of London.
Great, that's what we like to see. Okay, thanks, Simon. Emma.
Hello, everyone. I'm Emma McLeod. I'm the Account Director and Head of Client Services at Astley Media. We are an Exeter-based marketing PR agency. Many of our clients are tech startups. We specialise in the education sector, and so we work with clients from sort of Jurassic Fibre, the regional full fibre broadband provider, to Intelligent AI, who you may have heard of, and sort of bigger brands such as Heart of the South West, LEP, and so sort of across the board really. But we're mostly passionate about tech, and obviously we're co-founders of Tech South West as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great, thanks, Emma. Paul.
Good morning, everybody. Paul Jones from British Business Bank. We are the economic development bank for the UK. Our role is to ensure that finance flows. We do that more through delivery partners and direct. So we invest in lots of different funds that come across the whole of the UK, as well as debt funds and actually into the banks as well. So my role is looking after the South West to ensure that the voice is heard. And as we move to levelling up regional inequality, ensuring that money is in the South West where it needs to be to support everybody, including tech, which is probably around about 30-40% of our investments.
That's great. That's great to see, Paul. Brilliant. Thank you. John.
Hi, everyone. I'm the Managing Director of it. We are a accountancy and business advisory firm with offices in London and Bristol. And largely we are sort of developing a role where we sit as the sort of finance director or non-exec director on small company boards and bring in our sort of chartered tax and chartered accounting advice to that.
That's great. Oh, thanks, John. Thanks, John. I think we've lost Simon temporarily, I think, so we'll just, but we'll carry on, and I'll let him back in when we're sorry. But so thanks very much. Big thank you to the panel, and thanks for your time today. As I said, we've got 4 really exciting companies to present to you today. First up this morning is a lovely chap called Lyle de Groot and his company Portilius. Lyle, I'm just going to invite you up onto the screen. Here he comes. Hi, Lyle. You okay?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Are you feeling good?
I'm all good. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Okay, so what I'm going to do is going to ask the panelists to leave the stage. Thank you very much.
Okay. Just get my deck ready.
Okay, yeah. Lyle, if you can bring your slides up onto the screen.
Yeah.
Oh, Simon, hi. I can see you. I can see you back. You're in the panel. We're just about to go into the first presentation. I'll bring you back up when the presentation's open.
Can you see that, Ben?
Let me see. Yes, I can see it. Okay, right. I'm gonna leave the stage now, Lyle. I'm gonna leave it to you. Okay, so over to you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I hope and trust you are well, and thank you for coming along today. My name is Lyle de Groot. I'm the founder of Portilius. Our vision is to empower SMEs to cut costs, save time, and export more on a global scale through digitization. 10 years ago, I was in a world of pain and frustration. I started an import-export company in Singapore without any prior experience. I was time-starved and cash-limited, and so I thought I would easily find the answers to get started. I was so wrong. In a matter of weeks, I had to become an Excel guru, understand FX trades, deal with overseas suppliers, and on top of that, still run my business locally. Frustratingly, I was dealing with manual orders via email, a lack of knowledge of the local culture, foreign currency risks, and payment terms. It was an absolute nightmare. Since starting that company, I have been driven and dedicated to develop a solution for SMEs that could ease this pain of exports. We are in the midst of a fourth industrial revolution, which has convinced the G7 to finally digitize export documents. This major shift in policy paves the way for rapid change, which in itself presents huge business opportunities. A recent study found that documentation, foreign exchange risks, and time differences were export barriers to SMEs, proving that problems I faced years ago still exist today. Evidently, supply chain deficiencies are not fixed, and Portilius tackles cost and time-saving solutions. Portilius is a platform as a service which unifies services such as e-commerce, export documents, and real-time FX and freight quotes, to name but a few. Our solution empowers SMEs to slash costs, save time, and ultimately increase exports. So how do we do it? Quite simply, working with strategic partners, we reduce the complexity of exports through automation and digital tools. By generating revenue for each service through subscriptions, we allow SMEs to consume what they need when they need it. On top of that, we earn commissions for freight and FX, as well as generate advertising revenue. Now is the time to invest, ladies and gentlemen. As more and more free trade agreements are being negotiated every few months with the UK, because exports are growing 5% month on month after Brexit and COVID. And now is the time to get the 100,000 plus SMEs in the South West to grow their businesses with Portilius. Our beachhead into this large market will be micro SMEs in the South West, and the route to market will be via export associations and export consultants. Whilst there are many companies offering niche solutions, only 2 others offer a similar platform to that of Portilius. However, none of them offer a comprehensive set of features and services such as ours. We'll be Q3 of 2021 and continue to expand the team. We will add a further lucrative revenue stream by commercializing export data. Currently looking at who will be focused on sales and business development. With further investment, we'll strengthen our core team even further to board at the earliest convenience. We project that in the first year, we'll have around 320 new signups with a month-on-month growth of around 5%. We'll break even in year 2 with an average MRR across all the subscriptions of around £248. Freight and FX commissions will be earned on top of the subscription revenues from our respective partners. With an investment of £150,000, we will focus on expanding our subscriber base and marketing and development departments in the next 12 to 18 months. We are currently SEIS approved and will be applying for EIS in due course. In summary, we're asking for £150,000 to fuel our UK growth. So let's connect today and change the world of exports together. I'll leave you our business model canvas on screen now, but I thank you for your time and will welcome any questions.
That's great, Lyle. Thank you very much. And well within your 5 minutes. That's brilliant. Well done. Okay, I'm going to invite the panel back onto the stage. Great. Thank you very much. Okay, like I said, thanks, Lyle. Anybody got any question? Who's first? Simon, you've got something for Lyle?
Yeah. Thanks, Lyle. It's amazing how short 5 minutes is, isn't it? And how little you can put into that. So tons of questions potentially. What kind of traction or interest have you had from kind of big customers that you people might recognise his name or be important structurally to you?
Sure. So we're still early stage, Simon. Our route to market is going to be through export associations. We are already in discussions with the British Export Association, or BEXA, and they welcome service providers such as ourselves. So our first route to market is to go and speak to and get those attention of those customers within that organisation around the UK. That will be our first focus. There's around 150 micro SMEs, so target market right there. But it also consists of freight forwarders, export consultants, everyone within international trade.
Okay, thanks.
Great.
Okay.
Great. Paul.
Thanks for that really great presentation and an area I understand quite well and can see the barriers. I'm quite interested in how you're planning to reach the market. So there's been a number of facilities, albeit paper-based DIT and that for a long time. How are you planning to reach quickly to a large market?
Again, focus is going to be on micro SMEs. Thinking about doing export. So a prime example would be microbreweries, for example.
They have a good potential for the export markets. And so our route to market will be through export associations, as I've just mentioned. Another one is freight forwarders, because they obviously have a big clientele and of varying ranges. And another one would be export consultants. So those would be the three entries that we would go and speak to. Obviously, with our partners, with our FX partners, we're also got the ability to expose our services to their customers as well. So the company will have and
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Lyle. John, do you have anything?
Yeah, Lyle. Well done. That was a really good presentation. Sorry, I think my internet feed is sort of cutting out there. I was just going to ask, Lyle, you mentioned that you had some quite similar competitors, and could you talk a bit more around the differentiating factors between you and them? I don't know if it's sort of located next to the Tech South West or. Yeah, sure.
So the two competitors that are similar to us is called Export Portal and another one called TradeShift. Now, TradeShift is a huge company. They have raised quite a lot. However, they are really focused on the actual process of the process for blockchain. Is a to that of for the
services, but it's all quite manual process driven. So, for example, if you were to get an export a freight quote, you would have to email them, and they would come back to you in a couple of days, a couple of hours, however long it would take, and it would be this back and forth. So we're back to this manual process. I have done this before. Is that we can integrate those FX and freight e-commerce processes. So, for example, if you're checking out on a normal e-commerce platform, you'll be able to get your live FX and freight rates
within that process. So it removes that manual requirement to get those quotes done. We're also offering other things like an e-learning software. Track export.
Therefore, we're providing e-learning platform where they can obviously sell their courses if they do provide courses in a digital format. So those are just some of the things. We also have cargo tools. So we've got an algorithm, for example, that how much space is taking up in a shipping container based on the amount of products that you may have in your shopping cart. And so that's a visual representation.
Normally that would have been done by Excel. You'd have to go back and forth. We do this in a digital format, which is straight away, it's visual. so you can see it immediately.
Okay, that's great, Lyle. I'm afraid your total 10 minutes is up, I'm afraid. Sorry, Emma, I didn't get a chance to come around to you. I'll come back to you first. If anyone's got any further questions for Lyle, or wants to get in touch with Lyle and to have a chat about his platform, then please do either get in touch with me, with Tech Southwest, or directly with Lyle. And I'm sure he'd love to spend more time talking about his amazing platform. Thanks very much, Lyle. Could I ask you to drop off the stage, please? So I think it's well done to Lyle. It's always nerve-wracking going first. So I'm going to our next company is Bandless, and I'm going to invite Brenton up onto the stage. We seem to have lost Simon again, so I'll invite him back on when he's back up. Hi, Brenton. How you going?
Hi. Not bad. How are you all?
Yeah. I'm good. Really looking forward to hearing all about Bandless. So if I could ask the panel members to leave the stage. Thank you very much. Okay, Brenton, do you want to bring your slides up?
Yep.
Okay, that's great. We can see that. Okay, Brenton, I'm going to leave the stage, and I'm going to leave you to it.
Hi, I'm Brenton, the co-founder of Bandless, and we are developing a smart, compact blood pressure monitor like the one I'm wearing on my hand. Now let's imagine a situation to understand what we do better. Imagine you're in an elevator going alone and are going down, and suddenly you lose your vision. Now that is what happened to our co-founder. It was a scary experience. Along with that, he lost his vision, felt weak, collapsed on the floor, and had to text help using only his muscle memory. Now that can happen to any one of us because 1 in 4 adults suffers from blood pressure problems. And that's 12.5 million people in the UK itself and 1.13 billion people globally. Now the only solution to this problem is to measure blood pressure continuously, see the trend, and take preventive actions. And that is only possible by using the current blood pressure monitors. But the problem with that is current blood pressure monitors are inaccurate 7 out of 10 times. The correct way to take a reading is to lie down on a flat surface with a cuff at your arm level, and the cuff should be a comfortable fit. And it takes an average of 3 to 5 minutes per reading. Even if you do all that, it does not mean you'll get an accurate reading. And that's the problem there. So the only solution to this is to disrupt or change the blood pressure monitor itself. And that's what we have done. Our deep learning solution can measure your blood pressure in under 30 seconds, is accurate and does not need a cuff, and uses a cheap sensor known as PPG. Now, PPG is a sensor which measures the amount of light absorbed by your blood, and we use that information and plug that into our deep learning solution to estimate your blood pressure. Thus, we make the whole process easy, fast, and accurate. Now, why do we need to do this? Because 1.13 billion people suffer from blood pressure globally, and that number is projected to increase to 1.5 billion by 2025. That's 1 in 3 adults. It costs the NHS £2.1 billion every year to treat blood pressure and blood pressure related problems. The blood pressure monitor market in Europe itself is worth £0.6 billion and is growing at 6.26% every year. Now, this is a major problem, and this would obviously mean we have a lot of competitors too. Now, majority of the solutions that are present in the market have error present in them, and that error magnifies over a period of time. To account for that error, you need to calibrate your device at least once every 2 months, but not us, thus offering a better user experience. As I mentioned before, our solution is based on PPG, which is a very inexpensive sensor, whereas our competitors like Samsung or even if Apple were to join the fray would be based on ECG, which are electrodes and which are expensive, thus giving us an inherent price advantage. We estimate our solution will cost 50% lesser than our competitors. Now, how are we going to generate revenue? We are going to generate revenue 2 ways. One is by selling our own blood pressure monitor, and secondly, by an API service. That way, smartwatch companies and activity trackers can have access to a cutting-edge technology at a price. And that is also going to be our route to market, because It is estimated by 2023, 179 million devices, which are smartwatch and activity trackers, will be shipped every year. That's 11.55% growth rate. Now, what do we need to make this happen? Firstly, we are looking for advisors which can help us in developing our offering further, partners to help build our data set and further test our solution, and talent to plug our knowledge gaps. We are also looking for potential investors because we intend to raise money very soon. Now, what have we achieved till now? As I mentioned before, we have a working prototype, as you can see on my hand, and we will begin public beta trials with 3,000 users of the Bandless smartwatch on an invite system basis by the end of this month. Now let's talk about the team. It's me and 2 other co-founders. We all have an MSc in robotics from the University of Bristol. But what makes us truly special is that we are users ourselves. As I mentioned before, our co-founder suffers from blood pressure, and that is what drives us. We are also supported by Dr. Gianni, who is the professor of cardiac surgery at the Bristol Royal Infirmary. Every year, 7.5 million people die because of blood pressure and blood pressure related problems. We aim to save lives. Thank you.
Thanks, Brenton. That was great. Thank you very much. I'm going to invite the panel back on to the screen now. And I'm also going to invite Shuban, which is one of the co-founders of Bandless as well, just to help with the questions. So thanks very much, Brenton. Emma, I'm going to come.
Thank you, Brenton. I found that really interesting, and I love your product. I actually suffer from low blood pressure, so it's quite interesting to me. I just wondered, you talked about selling directly to customers. I just wondered if you thought about how you would reach your target customers. So what kind of marketing channels you would use to reach those customers?
So our beachhead market itself is private doctors and clinics. Okay. So because we believe if we convince doctors, and patients generally put a lot of faith in the doctors, we will sell through that. That's how we are planning on initially.
Excellent. Okay. And do you already have quite a few relationships, with the sort of medical sector, or is that something that you would need to sort of focus on?
So our medical advisor is already, as I mentioned before, is the professor of cardiac surgery. He holds quite a big role in Bristol Royal Infirmary, and he's agreed to test our solution in the hospital itself. So currently we're focusing on that, but we will reach out to more private clinics after that, because we just want to see how our product actually performs in the real world.
Yeah.
And that's the next priority.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Emma. John, do you have a question?
Yeah, no, that was really interesting, Brenton. Thank you for that. Yeah, the only thing I was going to add, so beyond Emma, was if you have got plans to sort of get a patent around the product, or perhaps potentially that sort of the software licensing on the API bit.
So the thing is, majority of the initial stage when we did our market research, a lot of people focus on accuracy being a very big criteria. So we are still focusing on improving the accuracy by building our data set. And after that, we will look into the patent, into getting a patent. But till then, we already will be hosting our API service on our own servers, which makes sure that our technology is in our control and in our hands.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. And it was interesting to hear, like, in terms of, I suppose probably for a much longer debate, but I'd be interested to know sort of like, you mentioned sort of that, if like the smartwatches, they use electrodes versus the PPG, and potentially why, and you said that there's obviously a very big problem in the beginning in accuracy, like obviously in terms of knowing a bit more about the technical bit about, preventing that problem in terms of why PPG potentially is better. I know you said it was cheaper, but how accurate it is versus, say, lying down and putting a cuff against sort of heart level, wasn't it, that you said?
Yeah, so that's the current way with the current blood pressure monitors. Our solution already adheres to the standard set by the British Hypertension Society. Okay. So technically, even all the blood pressure monitors that you have on the market adhere to these accuracy measurements, accuracy requirements, but they are still not accurate because of the different conditions. Our solution is accurate in any situation.
Yeah, brilliant.
Sounds great. Paul?
Yeah, great work, Brenton and team, for getting where you are. And it's a problem I recognise, not personally, but through friends and colleagues. I'm interested, probably twofold really. How easy or hard would it be for one of the big boys, if they wanted to, like Samsung, to come across and replicate the PPG model that you've got rather than buy it? And why, or is there a barrier to that? And really, how then you sort of go to market, and does it give you advice? So it tells you your blood pressure at the wrong point, but does it sort of tell you what to do in that situation?
Yeah, go ahead, Siobhan.
We can't hear you, Siobhan, I'm afraid. Yeah, just about.
Sorry, I'm sort of sitting outside my office right now because it's a bit tough to take calls inside. So one of the things we found out while we were doing market research is, because we have a deep learning solution, we need a lot of data, and this data is not something that exists at all. So one of our agendas as an early stage company is to also create this concept method, and we believe that the accuracy of our results will be dependent how big and how accurate we can get our data set to be. So even if the big companies were to enter the market, they will have their own data collection, which is obviously a huge process because we have as well. So with our data set, we hope that our solution and our product is set apart from any big company or small company that also tries to enter the same market as well.
Okay. Thanks, Siobhan. I think just about managed to hear you there. I'm afraid your 10 minutes is up. So thanks very much, Siobhan. Thanks very much, Brenton. And thanks for your presentation. It was very interesting. Again, as Simon quite rightly said at the start, 5 minutes isn't long to present. It really is just to give you a taster of where they are. And as Brenton's ask is very much more around assistance. Please do get in touch with Brenton and Siobhan if you can provide any assistance to them in getting to market. They will be coming to investment, but I think they just need a little bit more guidance in that area. So if anyone's got any help that they can provide, please do get in touch. Okay, thanks, Brenton and Siobhan. If I could ask you to leave the stage.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome. Okay, next up we have Regulation Tech and Mike. So I'm going to invite Mike up onto the stage. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Ben. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Looking forward to your pitch. If you'd like to share your screen.
Yeah.
That's great. It's just coming on
Coming
now.
through okay.
Yeah, we can see it beautifully. I'm going to leave the stage and leave you to it. So over to you.
Thanks very much. Hello. Thanks everyone for coming along today. My name's Mike Oaten, and I'm excited to introduce my business, Regulation Technologies, to you. I'm going to start with a pretty big question. Have you ever thought what will come after the internet? Well, it's changing from a collection of files and documents into a network of data. The Internet of Things, cloud computing, open banking, smart cities. These are all very big trends, and it's an irreversible process. My team at Regulation Technologies are right at the heart of this. We've pioneered a way to transform massive, unmanageable data sets into meaningful networks and build tools that uncover unique insights. It might be easier if I walk you through a very quick example of that. So I'm guessing most people attending this will have spent time at the Companies House website. It's a brilliant resource. It has loads and loads of really helpful information, but when you boil it down, it's just a massive list. So we've taken that and we've turned it into a network of information. And there are over 100 million connections. And once we have that network, we can then analyze it. And by doing so, we've identified instances of fraud, influential directors, and new sales opportunities. Right now, no other company is able to do this. But who cares most about our innovations? Well, we've found that data teams do. The perception is that these lucky people will magically convert all this data into limitless profits. We're all familiar by now with that phrase, data is the new oil. But this is not the reality for them. The amount of data they've had to manage has gone through the roof, as have the costs. And as a result, they're under pressure to contribute much more to the bottom line. What they really need are new tools that can make an impact. And that is exactly what we can help them with. So by partnering with us, data teams can innovate quickly by connecting their internal data to our data sets and query tools so they can make money and save money for their companies. And what's really important to them is that if they can get up and running very quickly and easily. Globally, there are over 2 million data teams, and we'll start by focusing on UK financial services. This sector is data heavy, and they're already embracing innovation with open banking and other initiatives. And we've had some early conversations with some of them here. And we think we'll be able to expand sales because these teams are seen as problem solvers in their businesses. They get knocks on the door from colleagues in finance and marketing, compliance and other departments. But it's the longer term growth story that's got us really excited because we can very quickly deploy our system to create new connected data sets. We'll scale by targeting more sectors such as government and enterprise, adding many more data sets along the way, and we can replicate the entire model when we expand into other countries. And who might stand in our way? Well, these are competitors just for our company's house service. And as you can see, there's no other provider that offers advanced solutions directly to data teams. Since putting the team together in 2018, we've concentrated on building the first version of our system. This has been a big technical challenge, which we've self-funded to date. We're planning on raising an SEIS round later this tax year and focusing on getting a foothold in the UK financial services market and expand the business out from there. And we have a great starting team. Mark Hudson, my co-founder and CTO, is a data engineer with 25 years experience with notable startups and banks. I was a co-founder of Riskopy, where we use very similar technology and which was acquired by NASDAQ-listed Cooper Software in 2017. And James Routley is advising us. James was CEO of pioneering data and analytics company, The Filter. So to recap, we're targeting a multi-billion-pound global opportunity where our solutions can be adopted quickly. We've built out the beta product suite, and this is currently unique in the market. The business can scale very quickly, and we're an experienced team with the technical and commercial know-how to execute on our plans. So we are currently looking for £150,000 investment to complete the commercial build of our assets and develop our first customers. So if you are a potential investor, customer or partner who would like to continue the conversation, let's connect. And thank you very much for your time.
That was great, Mike. Thank you very much. Spot on 5 minutes as well. So well done. It's really good. I'll begin to invite the panel back onto the screen. That's great. Simon, did you get to see that?
I did. Thanks. Yeah, it's turns out Chrome works a lot better for Hop-in than Firefox.
Okay, there you are. Top tip.
At least so far.
Okay, do you have a question for Mike?
Yeah, I'll ask a very similar question to the last time. What kind of traction have you got with the customers you're looking for, and kind of how are you going to attract those customers.
Okay, yeah, thanks for that. So we had a previous go at customer development, really, when we had nothing apart from we had a tin, really, that said what we did on the outside, but there wasn't much in it. So we kind of used that as an acid test to just have some very first conversations. So we spoke with iWalker, who are an SME alternative lender, and spoke to their data team. They were interested in how we might be able to help them with their online credit assessment process. Two smaller players in that market. One is My Community Finance, who work more with community lenders, and a business information company called Bohus, which aren't really fintech, but they kind of operate very much in that space as information and research organisation. So we didn't really have much. We went out to them, and really it was just this is what we're building, are you interested? And those conversations got to a point where they told us what they would in principle buy, but we hadn't built it yet. So that's where we stopped, really, and then we've gone back to do another cycle of technical development to start building up that solution, which they had indicated would be much more favourable for them. So that's, I think when we do it again, we'll just keep doing what we did before, which was one-on-one attacks on LinkedIn, really, get involved in the community. What we've got, I think, is quite novel, so we found it previously fairly easy to start those conversations, so I imagine another round of that. And in the background, our kind of longer-term approach to make sales marketing more sort of frictionless, we want to take the humans out of it, obviously, to get the scale, is really just as an API solution, which is very much targeted towards the developer community. So their preference is always, I just want to get testing with this. So you want to take humans out of that process, give them the information to those teams and those developers up front. They can self-service quite a lot of that to get a freemium access testing sort of a demo environment. And then once they're in and they've tested it and got their hands, hands dirty with the technology, then we'll start to get involved with one-on-one conversations again about how we can deliver better value to them.
That's great. Okay. Well, according to the chat, I think Andy Doyle's keen on you getting involved anyway, getting you involved in filming. So I think you could have a customer there already. Paul.
Yeah, so really good presentation, Mike. And I've before joining British Business Bank, I worked for a major retail bank, which data was always an issue, and very unreliable and took too long and all those good things. So I can really see where the solution is. At the same time, there was a massive arms around the data, and we liked it on lots of systems, which made it hard, but actually safe. So how are you finding that expansion would seem to sound more around bringing lots of data sets together? Have you explored how open organizations will be to sharing their data with others, even for greater good?
Well, the main focus is that we're taking data which is already in the public domain. So our kind of test version is the company's house data. So they have a number of bulk products, one of which is the appointments list. So this is all company officers and which companies they currently or previously have had appointments with. So we've built out that network of 100 million connections. That's in the public domain. So what we're offering really is that we hold this data asset which has the secret source of all of these connections and the information which is tracked in those connections. A customer will just connect into it. So we don't need to get our hands on the client's data at all. They're in charge of that. They just make a query into our database essentially and pull down a response from those queries. I mean, but we've built out essentially 3 different data assets as a company. The first of which is the pipeline, which actually builds the data set. So in theory, at some later date, we could license or do project work around companies who obviously hold their own internal data, but they can see the value in turning it into a network, and the value that queries into a network might surface. So on that basis, there could be a branch of the business which develops with private data by doing project work with companies directly, but that's not our initial focus.
Got you. That's great. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Sorry, Emma and John, we're out of our 10 minutes, I'm afraid. So I'll come to you guys for first for the last one. Just to say thanks, Mike. Great presentation. Really great to hear from you. And if I could ask you to leave the stage, I'll start to invite our last presenter. Thanks, Mike. Okay, last but definitely not least, I'm going to bring David Smee of AniBotics onto the stage. Hi, David.
Hi there, Ben. I got the memo about the uniform today.
Yeah, well done. Good stuff. Good to see. If you'd like to share your screen, David.
Certainly will. Here we go.
Okay, right. I'm going to leave the stage and leave it to you. Off you go.
Great. So children aged between 6 and 11 years have rapidly advancing skills. A lot of toys targeting this age group are not engaging enough and are soon neglected to gather dust in the toy box. I'm David Smee, and I founded AniBotics, as you might be able to tell from our logo, with the intent of helping children gain a good appreciation of wild animals and the natural world. Animal conservation is a passion, but my career has been focused on technology innovation, including robotics, so I wanted to make animal toys better. Here are some of the key insights that helped drive the company's first idea. So over 75% of parents, like myself, with children in this age group, would love our children to have less screen time. We rely on them a lot as our digital babysitters. We have this screen or screens conflicts, but we'd love to have other things that were as effective. A survey taken just after lockdown of 58 primary schools found out that 96% of parents were concerned about their child's speech and language development. And another piece of research that's relevant to our solution was when it comes to buying toys, over 2/3 of parents would want their toys to have an educational benefit. Clearly, with our focus, we were interested to know what parents thought about their children learning about animals and habitats, and over 90% of them thought that that would be really relevant for them and their children. Traditional media doesn't really engage this age group, so we wanted to make something that kept them coming back for more. And we think we've got it with Animazing toy training. The child receives an animatronic toy baby animal, like this one here. This is our rough first prototype, but it's initially shy and limited in expression. When it's connected to a smart speaker, the child interacts with fun lessons that teaches them about the animal and its habitats. The more they play, the more the toy evolves, and the added functionality can be played with when the child is away from the smart speaker. It's a bit like a Tamagotchi, but more for a physical toy. So we don't rely on screens, and our users are encouraged to speak and interact through the lessons. Pièce de résistance is the fact that when you've run out of everything you can do with this toy, when it's fully evolved, you can exchange one toy for another on our modular base and do it all over again with a different set of actors, providing the skill and a different animal and a different habitat to learn about. Our target price point when we're in a mature market is £60. So here we have our key competition, really. Hasbro dominate the entertainment area for animatronic toys, and Leapfrog, owned by VTech in China, have a focus on the preschool market for educational toys. So we see a clear space for ourselves in away from the preschool into the primary sector, where there are robotic coding toys, but nothing like us. So we really found our feet initially by getting ERDF funding at the beginning of 2020 to work with the Bristol Robotics Lab. And there we helped hone the product with academics, and we had our first working prototype in March of this year. We incorporated and then started building our portfolio of IP. So we've got a patent around the technology in the product and a trademark around Animazing. We're going to further evolve the prototype. We're working on a next stage that will go into schools in July. And there are other interesting developments in our technology roadmap through work we're doing with the BRL. As an opportunity, we see fantastic growth within the smart toy segment of the toy category. These are obviously enormous categories, but smart toys are seeing 22% compound annual growth rate in the next 2 years. So there'll be £12.8 billion worth of value per year in that sector. We're going to pursue that with licensing to engage with that quickly. In parallel, we are working on our solutions for zoos and schools, so life-size versions of our toys. This will help us engage with our audience, so our marketing plan is around this, and we'll also be feeding ideas into our toy licensing strategy. I have experience in commercializing technology. I'm working with Dr. Simon Fowler. We first worked together on Retrack in 2013. He brings the technology knowledge, I bring the commercialization. I've been working on educational books for children, and we've got a lot of great advisors and collaborators who are helping us bring these products to market. So really appreciate your thoughts, ideas, and support as we take our step forward into the market now. Thank you.
That's great, David. Thank you very much. I think that's. I think we can all appreciate the desire to get our kids off tablets and off screens and start interacting with something. That So thank you very much. I'm going to invite the panel back onto the stage. Okay, thanks very much. So Emma, have you got a question for David?
Thank you, David. I found that really interesting. I love the concept. It's really good. And I just wondered, you said £60 was the price point. Obviously, you have to have a smart speaker as well on top of that. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's certainly for the first iteration of product.
Yeah, and would you work with any smart speaker, so you could use anything on the market?
It will. I mean, it is just a development path that we're taking that focuses us on Amazon Alexa, the most highly penetrated product at the moment, and also a good stepping stone for us. So we're focusing on that to start with. But absolutely, there's opportunities to go for any smart speaker and indeed build our own smart speaker.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you.
That's great. Thanks, Emma. John.
Yeah, David, I think it sounds amazing. I wish I had something like that. It's telling me now, to be honest. I was curious. I think I heard correctly. You said that you are planning a test in schools. Are you? Was it in July? Did you say?
Yeah, that's right.
So you've already got sort of a product line already, all ready to go in, have you?
So we have working first. You saw the kind of rough and ready first working prototype. So we've been working on that platform. We've built another platform behind that. So LCD eyes and tactile sensors and things like this. So really we can get a good interactive session with children. And we've got permission to go into a school with academics in July. And so we'll be having a first really run with our dialogue and checking which bits are working, how the product is working, how they respond to it, and, and fine tuning for our next iteration.
Cool. And the only other thing I was going to ask is, with regards to the £60, you mentioned in it, is that a one-off cost, and then that person, that family can trade in, say, the elephant and get back a shark, which is what I really want to see? Or is that all included in the cost, or is it like a subscription service sort of thing for?
These are the thing is, because we're pursuing the licensing model, we're a bit open-minded to some of those things. Our instinct and our desire was to really follow a rescue, rehabilitate, release strategy. So with the toys, so the purchase would be the rescue, the rehabilitation would be the lessons that they give, and the release would be the kind of feeding into the circular economy, so that parents could exchange animals with each other and start all over again. But this is kind of taking the illegal pet trade idea kind of a bit into our ideas. But we'll have to see how licensing companies want to engage with that model or which model they prefer to pursue.
Cool.
That's great. Simon, have you got any questions for David?
Yeah, definitely. So fascinating, really. So it's a small robot.
That's it.
The pitch said that it can grow. How does that work? That's right.
So I really can't wait to be able to show a video, and I think in a couple of weeks' time I should be able to do that. But there are areas where it's so let's say it's going to be limited in functioning. So originally it's kind of a bit shy, limited in terms of what it's able to, the noises it makes. It grows in terms of it's going higher from a seated position to go higher, and generally its personality is unfolding. So from being shy, little eye contact, then it starts becoming a bit more involved and engaging with the child a bit more. So it's kind of like a pathway of being a bit more of a fun character if you see what I mean. So it's got various servos powering legs, ears, trunk in the case of the elephant, and they're more active and have a wider dimension of movement as you go forward.
Just another quick one. My kids have a subscription to WWF, and they get a small fluffy toy and a quarterly update on the animal they've adopted. Is that a market to pursue as well for animal adoption?
Definitely. Yeah, it's one I definitely want to pursue. I'm doing a half marathon for the WWF, so I hope that gets me on side with them for that kind of deal. But yeah, that's right. So yeah, I definitely agree. It's like an opportunity for them to sort of teach children more about the animals and it's a step up from what they get as a sponsorship package now. Agreed. That's
great. Right, thanks, David. Paul, do you have any questions?
So I don't actually, but it's an absolutely fantastic product, David. So it's a couple of questions I had have just been covered off by others.
So just think there's a sale then. Can I just?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, how much do you want? Right, it fits into the agenda. It fits into what we want to get kids away from screens. I suppose that there's a question in it there. Do they move away from screens and onto it? But I don't think that's a question. It's something you've got to try and test, isn't it? So.
Yeah, I mean the screens are always going to be there and thereabouts. There's a potential behind this to have a screen that the parent uses to adjust the settings of the toy to the age group of the child, those kind of things. But it's trying to take the screen to not be the primary kind of area of engagement. I think a lot of parents have the same problems as I do, and it's trying to find something else for them to do that is as addictive as a screen. Yeah, they do such a good job of keeping children coming back for more, don't they?
That's great work, and great in trademarking a word that maybe should have been trademarked a long time ago, and animation.
Yeah, definitely.
Can I just ask one more question?
Yeah, no, go for it.
No, I was just going to say about, you were saying, David, about going into schools and talking to children. Have you thought about doing focus groups with parents as well? Because obviously parents are the ones that are going to be investing.
Yeah, no, I've been doing a lot of research. Well, I'm a parent. I meet with parents as we do the pickup of children. I'm always doing focus groups with parents. But I have done also a lot of focused interviews with parents of the age group, and definitely it's an interesting dynamic. You've got to win the parent over. I think I've been finding that is working, but you've really got to make sure that experience is compelling for the child as well. So it's trying to make sure everybody's bought in, as it were.
Yeah, brilliant.
That's great. Well, thanks, David. That was the last of our 4 presentations, and I think they've all been, personally, I think they've all been really good. Basically, I want to, thank the panelists. It's been great to get your feedback, and it's really great for these early stage companies to get some really valuable feedback and questions and challenge, about their models and about their MVPs and about their route to market. It's all really important stuff. I know it's only a short presentation and a short opportunity to ask questions, but please, do engage with them directly, both panelists and the audience. These guys are working hard on these products and systems and platforms, and desperate for feedback, are desperate for input. So if you've got anything to add, please do reach out to them and provide some feedback. Okay, so thank you again. Next step is to head back to the sessions tab. If you go back to the welcome room that we started on this morning, we'll have a kind of a wrap up there, and then after that we'll have a bit of time for networking. But first of all, back to the welcome area in the sessions tab. Okay, thank you very much, and I'll see you there.